That's no, any upbringing.
Hey,
Good
So,
afternoon,
but I can
everyone.
hear you both. I can
Okay,
hear you both. I think initially there was a challenge, but I can hear you.
okay, awesome. Okay, so good afternoon to the two of you. I hope you are fine.
Yes.
Awesome. And
Well, I am
how
fine. I don't know.
how are preparations coming along for this evening's festival?
Oh, so far, so good.
I can't seem to hear you so well. I don't know if it's the headphones or there seems to be a breakage when you speak.
Yeah.
can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes, now I
Okay,
can.
better.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I was going to change the headphones. I was going to use a bigger headphones,
No,
like a bigger
fine.
headset. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Eric, how is preparation so far?
I think the guys are pumped up. I think organization-wise, everything is going well. I think Mr. Sa and the team at Zen Gardens are also, putting everything in place. So yes, everything is going on well. We are hoping for clear weather and a good evening.
Yeah, yeah. We are hoping for that too. And don't forget to pour your libation so that the rain God would have mercy on all of us. Yeah, so I'd like to welcome you both once again to this conversation. For everyone who is joining us on this live, this is a part of the festival, and this is the first part, a conversation with Legon Palm Wine Band and Kwanpa, both palm wine bands, and we're going to be talking about the importance of collaborations and the experiences that they have collected so far in their journeys as bands and why they are coming together to do this festival. So I think that without saying much, I'd like first for them to introduce themselves for people who are joining for the first time. So I'd like to start with Eric. So that's the Legon Palm Wine Band. Please first introduce yourself as an individual and then the band. And once you are done, we'll pass on to and start to introduce himself and then his band.
Yes, I'm Eric Sunudo, otherwise known as Papa Sunu. I'm currently representing the Legon Palm Wine Band, and my friends and I have been working on palm wine music with palm wine music over the last 7 years or so. So the band is made up. It's a five-member band made up of very energetic, young, beautiful, handsome-looking guys, musically apt, who are, as we say, holding on to this tradition we we call palm wine music. So in our band we have two guitars. I play one guitar, and then Samuel Boahin Ajimai, otherwise known as Robo, the beat singer.
No,
He plays the main guitar. We have Seth Kodo on vocals and shakers and time. We also have Albert Kwame Usu Brown representing the Bono or the Ahafo, the two of them combined regions of yeah. He's mostly on the Prim Sewa these days, but he's also on vocals, and then he sometimes do the shakers. And then we have Edwin Ni Akwe Brown. He's our chief percussionist. He's with the dance department of the University of Ghana. He's a senior. What is the title for? Senior performing artist. So he handles and together we form that collective known as the Legon Palm Wine Band.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction to yourself and then the band and its members and then the instruments that they play. So now let's hear from Ansa and Kwampa.
okay. So my name is Asa Cancer. Asa, yes, like finished. Yes, exactly. Asa Cancer, yes, and so I'm with Pampa Band. It's a four-member palm wine band. We started at 5 people, but one had to leave because of his work schedule. And so we have remained four ever since the band was formed in 2017. on 31st July. That was when we had our very first meeting. It was a Monday. And then so it was a Monday, and our band was formed, and we have worked till date. And we decided the band started straight away as a palm wine band. So it wasn't like we started as a band looking for what style or what type of music to do. It started straight away as a palm wine band. And so we have performed, done a lot of things to do. And there are four of us. I do the bass in the band. I also do vocals. I have the percussionist, Kwame Agbakwasi. He is from Tefle in the Volta region. He does the percussion. And then I have Kwabena Safo, who is from Akinseche in the Eastern region. He does the gumi. Surprising how an Akin person will do a gumi in a band. But yes, he does a gumi. And then we have Nana Yao, and he is from Adesto in the Eastern region, and he does the auxiliary percussion, talking about the twin bell and the big rattle together. So together, these five of us, the four of us, we form the band Kwampa, and we all do vocals as well. So we play and then we all sing. Yes. But the Legon and Wine Band, they are our seniors. When it comes to the formation of the band and all that, I'm sure we'll get there. But yes, they are seniors, and without them, I'm telling you the truth from today. Without the Legon and Wine Band, there will be no Kwampa at all. And I'll tell you why. I'm sure a question will pop up, and I'll give that explanation.
Yeah, it actually feeds into my next question. And so, our discussion is really about reviving palm wine music. So, first of all, for people who don't know what palm wine music is, maybe you, as we wait for Eric to join us, you can tell us what palm wine music is as a genre, how it started, and then we can discuss why we need to revive this genre of music.
Okay, so in my opinion, palm wine music is a mode of expression, musically or sonically. It's a mode of expression. It's a medium through which you express yourself, your feelings, whatever you want to say, but you use it through the music. So it's actually communication on a higher level or on a different level, if I should put it that way. And if you look at how it has been performed over the years, you realize that, especially at the beginning, you realize that it's more like a conversation. It's more like a conversation. And so when the Legon Palm Wine Band started the Nsadwase combo, it was a best fit, or it is a best fit when in terms of explanation to me when it comes to palm wine music, because it's not just music for music's sake. In art, we have art for art's sake, but this time, as in music, it's not palm wine music. To me, it's not music for music's sake, but it's actually music for self-expression, for communication, and all that. In art, there's something we call minimalism, that is in fine art, visual arts, and all that. In my opinion, I think we can certainly say that palm wine music is
minimalist music,
a kind of a minimalist expression of the becomes also a palm wine music is older than high life music.
Okay.
So if I say palm wine music is more like a minimalist expression of the big bands, then I may be wrong because it is older. So let me rather say this to be on the safer side. In my opinion, palm wine music is a tool for self-expression. It's a medium by which we can. For me, I can't define palm wine music because every day I try to define it, I get confused them all. But then I can describe it, but I can't define it to the best of maybe my senior will actually do the definition.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say that the beauty of art is that sometimes it can't be defined. It has to be described or experienced. And so it's fine if we don't have a definite definition of palm wine music. But I think that we can identify, how old it is and when it started. And I feel that's something that Eric can help us with. So Eric, can you please help us understand how palm wine music started in Ghana, how long it has lasted, and its impact in the music industry in Ghana?
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah, I'm not going to add the other part. Just to put it on record that I'm not Access senior. We are mates. Yeah. Those are, we should just.
You want me to say it? You want me to say it? I'll say something right now.
Yeah, but palm wine music basically is an unorganized recreational kind of music making at the Palm Wine Center. It's unfortunate these days it is hard to come by these centers, but then that is how it started. Putting a specific date to it becomes a little bit challenging because it has been a part of the community. Recently, I was involved in a conversation where, the idea of palm wine concept came up because, for instance, what we do is just an aspect of the palm wine music, that broader palm wine music thing we do. But then the concept speaks to the idea that although palm wine, or Nsadwase as we call it, is specific to the Akan communities, there are similar ideas in other, ethnic communities, let's say within Ghana, but also even in Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. So, broadly speaking, palm wine is a loosely organized, recreational musical activity that often took place at the Palm Wine Center. And the question is, how do you even describe these palm wine centers? We are told that, in every village, in every community, there is this space that was designated for, leisure, relaxation, and what have you. And it is at these centers that that kind of, activity took place. So there's the palm wine tapper bringing in his palm wine after a day's work. Mind you, he's also a farmer, so he brings that pot of palm wine harvested from the farm, and then he shares, sells, and then within that drinking community, that drinking space, whilst they are drinking, they are making music, they are talking, they're having conversations, and the conversations are steeped in the language. So these language themselves bring out these musical styles. So it is not a definite music style or tradition. What we have taken is that guitar component of it, But as time goes on, we'll talk about the guitar component. So one, it is difficult to put a specific date, a specific time, and how long it has been to palm wine music. But then we can, look at it within the context of how our indigenous communities evolved, particularly in their can areas.
Thank you for that short but interesting lesson on palm wine music from you both. Like I said earlier, the conversation is really about reviving palm wine music. And so now that we've defined or tried to explain what palm wine music is and also heard your bands and their history, I really want to ask why why do we need to revive palm wine music? Are we saying that by saying that we need to revive it, it is dying or it is phasing out, or there's something that is needed, and there are people who need to be actively involved in making sure that the music is preserved? So why are we saying that there's a need to preserve the music? And I think I'll start with Asa, and then we can move to
Okay. Okay. So I'm talking from, well, as a lay person, as somebody who is not even in like as somebody who has nothing to do with academics, like the normal person at home. There are lots of music traditions or music forms which we are losing, unfortunately. Well, let's even move away from music. Let's even look at the whole legacy or the heritage from our people who left us. Folk stories and antisim. I think if we're doing 100%, now we are doing 15%. Because a lot of these ones, we are looking at a lot of them. Let's look at our language. How many homes currently will stick to their mother tongue, will stick to their language? If you are Gan, you are speaking Gan. If you are Tree, you are speaking Gan. Tree. I'm just looking at some of these things. Now, I realize that palm wine music, apart for me, I mean, I looked everywhere, and apart from at the time, apart from Ejaku and his Adadema Fuma, that was before I was in the University of Ghana. And then after when I was in the School of Performing Arts, and then the Legon Palm Wine Band. Nobody, there was no band doing palm wine music. But it's such a beautiful. I mean, when it comes to the sound, I don't know how others feel about it, but for me, the sound alone, the guitars with the percussions, with the vocals, the sound alone, it is unique, extremely unique. Let me say this: the very first time I moved from Kufridia, because that's where I was. I was in Kufridia. That was the very first time I moved from Kufridia to the National Theatre to watch something. It was when a Jack was having an event with the police band and my choir and all that. It was something, some palm wine music, something. Yes, that was the very first time I moved from Kufuridia to the National Theatre to buy tickets and watch the whole thing. Nothing else had pushed me to the National Theatre, no other event. And it tells you how endeared I am towards the sound of palm wine music. I heard the Jack the first time around 99. It was late in the night, around maybe almost 11, almost 12 midnight. And then I heard them play. But the sound alone, it was lovely. So I stayed through, watched them do the performances with the dancing and all that. And ever since, I've had that sound with me. So when I was in the School of Performing Arts, the very first day I heard the Legon Palm Band perform, trust me, it was beautiful. At the time, I remember all the details. I was using an itel phone, and I used my small memory to record them under the tree, the drama studio, the tree there.
Yeah.
And I recorded almost every part of their performance because I loved the music. And you see, I just can't imagine Ghanaians losing this, like totally lose it. The music tradition, the music style. The bottom line is we have already lost a number of them. In all honesty, we have already lost a number of beautiful music traditions from various parts of not just the Akan area. And so for me, it is about sustaining some of these beautiful ones for posterity, for people to know that indeed, Ghanaian or the people in this part of the world, we have this beautiful music tradition with us, which we are losing touch of. Currently, apart from the Legon Palm Wine Band, Ejaku and the Sadadema Kofuma in Pampa, me personally, I don't know any other group dedicated to palm wine music. There may be other big bands who occasionally perform some palm wine music and all that. But for me, it is just the three of us. I'm hoping we get more. But it's all about sustaining the tradition of palm wine music for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, let's hear from Eric. Why are we reviving palm wine music? And when we say reviving palm wine music, are we saying that we have lost it and we need to bring it back?
I think pushing the word revival, brings up probably the reason why you say, is it dead, is not dead, that kind of thing. But for me, getting directly involved in this process was to not, revive it, because there was someone already doing it, but then it was far, and few. So the idea was to bring some form of urgency, some form of, attention to what was going on. Having worked with Ejaku Nimo, having learned from him, always having conversations, and it struck me that although he has this ensemble, when he moves to the next world, it practically would die with him. So the question I kept asking myself was, how do we, engage in, that performance practice? Not necessarily what he does, but use what he does as a platform to rethink and reimagine it and make it quite relevant to we, the younger folks. So the key word for me there was not revival per se, but urgency, having, and you would understand when Asa says, if it wasn't for the Legon Palm Wine Band, Kwampa wouldn't be there. Because if it wasn't for that frank conversation we had, Asa would have been a part of the Legon Palm Wine Band. So It's more of bringing urgency, and within that, urgency comes in revitalization, comes in revival, comes in, sustenance. The more people get to know of it, the more there is attention on it, the more people engage with it.
Thank you. There's a comment you are going to
Elizabeth,
take. Yeah.
okay. No,
Okay,
I
let me
just
just
wanted to
say
ask
it,
okay,
and then you can add yours. Sorry.
okay.
So, Kowu K Owusu GH1 is saying there's Doko Doko ensemble at the University of Education, and so that's nice to know that there's one more and that we
Just
can.
also to chip in that this Doko ensemble is not necessarily a palm wine ensemble.
Okay.
It's just like Konimu's bigger repertory. Konimu
Okay.
has a very big repertory, so
Yes.
the palm wine music is an aspect of it, but
Of
we know him more for the palm wine than the other aspect of it. So Doko Doko is any other thing. So he brings
okay.
different indigenous musical traditions, styles here, you know, to fuse into. That is why it is Doko Doko, the.
Asa, you wanted to say something, so please go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm just on the note where my senior ended. I'm just adding this part that so because of the attention or the focus we're trying to drive to palm wine music, we had a certain strategy as a band, but we decided that we are not going to wait for the people to find palm wine music. We are sending palm wine music to them. So if you are in Koforidua, you are in Kumasi, you are in Sunyani, we are not waiting for you to find palm wine music. We are bringing palm wine music to you. And so at the time the band started, Pampa, and we started a few performances, we decided that fine, we are not going to be static. We are going to move around so that people will hear the sound at least, so they will know palm wine music. So that was something we decided to do deliberately, that we're going around. Currently, I think it is only the northern part that we have of Ghana that we haven't performed yet. I'm talking about the savannah, the upper, the east, the west. But down here, majority of the regions currently we have sent the palm wine music, all the regions, Volta, Western, North, and Zimara, everywhere, almost everywhere. Yeah.
Nice. Let's move on to the challenges that you face as bands performing palm wine music. And Asa, you mentioned that there's a strategy with which you use, and I've also heard you speak of this strategy at length in a previous conversation earlier this year. But I really would like to hear the challenges that you face, because looking as an audience, looking at it from where I stand, it's almost like um, many people don't know about palm wine music, and there's more the more popular music is being played on radio and all of that. If there are performances in big events, there are names that will always be mentioned or called. And so I really would like to hear the challenges that you both have faced as individual bands and working in a space that is, I don't want to say works against you, but working in a big space where you are it's relatively small. The industry in which you are is relatively small. That's the palm wine music industry is relatively small. What are the challenges that you faced in your years of experience, and how have you overcome them over the years? So I'd like to start with Eric on this question.
The challenge for me was right from day one, getting others to think like I was thinking. So I observed that, like you were saying, very few, had an idea of what palm wine music is. And I remember when we started in our early days, I'd bring the music and the research to them, and then they would go like, "Oh, this is palm wine. Oh, that is palm wine." So that was the first thing, and we had to all grow from it, learn from scratch. Then moving it on from there was to getting people see what we were doing. So the other challenge was publicity. How do we get people to, or how do we present ourselves for others to know what we are doing? the first thing that came, and probably would come to that idea of collaboration, was working with Nsadwase. Besides, holding spontaneous performances on the Legon campus, we we decided to work with Nsadwase. So we were in the background, but then we were, preparing ourselves for the bigger stage. The other thing is, again, and it's perception, and throughout my research, that is what you get, that palm wine music is more of a nostalgic kind of music, like when we want to feel Ghanaian in March, that is when we look for palm wine music to play. Or when these elderly people want to live, the yesteryears, they would organize some sort of a palm wine music. So that idea of nostalgic, performative, and that does not bring money to, when you look at it. But also, I don't also want to say, getting ourselves in the media is a challenge, because as probably Asa would they've had a lot of engagement with the media, but the challenge is how we move to the next stage, how we get more people involved. Um, all the other challenges are challenges every band face, like renting, musical instrument, transporting from one place to the other, being remunerated, because it's those things. But then the key ones are, getting many people, you know to hear what we do. I think the music landscape is big enough for us all to, there should be time where people would want to listen to palm wine music. There should be time where people would want to listen to reggae and what have you. And to a larger extent, I haven't really patronized Zen Gardens that much. And it was Compa that took me there. But then when I paid attention to their lineup, their weekly lineup, you get the sense that is the kind of atmosphere the owner is trying to create. So there are days where Adaha will play, there are days where, acoustic guitar and what have you. That is not enough. We don't have that enough, And some of these performance spaces are, a little bit exclusive. If you don't know somebody, you don't get in there. And the other thing, probably, so that as I will take off from there, is we curating our own events, like we have decided to be doing with this festival and the monthly Nsadwase in common we do. It's not enough. Even when we do, it's that idea of financing. How do you fund some of these things? But these things are broader things a lot of musicians face. But probably ours is in the minority. Now there's this debate of minority this, minority that. We are in the minority, and then we finding that space to make our voice ahead. It still remains a challenge. But again, it's all platform and it's all building. So we would get there. We are not there yet.
Over to you, Asai. Do you have
Yeah. So like the challenges, unlike Kwampa, unlike Legon Palm Wine Band, at the time we were starting, like when they were like starting, like the members were in an academic institution, the School of Performing Arts, and they started there. For me, it wasn't like that. I started with my church members, my church instrumentalists, and so it was not in an academic environment, totally out. And these people I was playing, I started the band with, we all had to. So the approach was not from the research approach where we are doing palm wine music and we are focusing on research, and you are working with people who had families, people who had people to take care of, people who had extra responsibilities, and that's why I'm saying our start is different from the way they started. So we had to find a way of sorting them out in a way and still pushing the music. So that is why we had this thing that, okay, I was thinking about it. We need to, one, push the music, draw the attention we are looking for, and yet we need to take care of the people. So then let us go out instead of focusing on the academic part of the music, the research part of the music. Let's look at going out, the commercial part of the music, kind of. Let's see how people respond to the music. So the first point of call was that let's go to restaurants, let's go to eateries, let's go to pub, and then let's see if they will accept our music. So that at least once we perform for them, they will also give us something to keep body and soul together. Because I was working with people, they had to get paid. I mean, we cannot go to an event and then we just get home and nothing. So when the band was formed, after 3 months, we started searching around. So I drafted a proposal. I went around various restaurants and all that, just looking for a place where we can show what we have. A number of them turned that down. I mean, a lot of them turned that down because I had about 15 proposals. I sent to 15 places. Eventually, only one accepted that we should come in. And so let me put this: a major challenge is perception. Just as my boss said, it's perception to me. There is a hotel. We went there. They accepted that. Oh, okay. What kind of music are you going to do? I told the person everything. I did the okay. He said, okay, fine. Palm wine music. Okay, well, we will give it a try. So we'll come and play for free on a Friday. Just come and play. Let's see the response. Before the Friday, this guy called me and said, Palm wine music. He was not too sure his audience will like our type of music. I have just had a discussion with you, and you said we should come and even play for you to see. Before the Friday, this guy said, no, he's not sure. So he called it off. He canceled it. Because we had made plans that we were going. Fast forward 3 years down the line, the same hotel called me and said they are having Mother's Day celebration in collaboration with a media house, which I'll not mention the name, so we should come wait for them. Oh, well, I can't do the money I mentioned, they couldn't pay. And they said, oh, they begged I should reduce it for them. That everybody was excited when they said Kampa was coming for Mother's Day and all that. And, oh, we didn't go. That is the bottom line. We didn't go. But it is just to buttress the point that, a lot of the perception I talked about, people have the perception that palm wine music, just like Erico said, it's for a reason for the oldies, or it is not. But everywhere we have performed, people have asked us to come back. So it gave me, I then realized that people love the music, but it's just that they don't know the music yet, or they've not paid attention to the music yet. Now, Zen Garden that accepted us after 3 months, the band was just 3 months old and they accepted us. And we were performing. I'm going to put out this vital information just for those who are on there, those who are watching. Under normal circumstances, I'll not say this, but at the time we started playing at Zen Garden, we were paid 300 CDs. 300 CDs at the time we started playing at Zen Garden. Thank God now, it has changed graph. It has changed graph, of course. But we started with 300 CDs. And it was not bad at the time, because for that at the time it wasn't just the money, but cleaning that perception, or gradually turning around that perception that palm wine music is nostalgic music, it's for the oldies, it's when people want to feel somewhere. No. And also to kill that, and I am saying this, Eric may not know this, but he gave me this piece of advice. Let me say it here. He told me that, in his opinion, at the time we started, we were performing just our music. So we were not doing music from other performers. But Eric suggested one time when we had a conversation, I'm sure he will not even remember, but he suggested that we should try and do we should try and do music from other performers also. And I realized that what he said was very true, because when we do performances, somebody could continuously say, oh, do that Lumba, or oh, do Amachi Baby. And we don't know that Lumba, we don't know Amachi Baby. We are doing our palm wine music, and then we do. But somebody will just say, oh, do, and then occasionally they will mention the popular artist. Oh, do Saturday, do this. So I realized that what he was saying was true. So quickly we started learning songs from other performers, and it worked like magic, because even though you will hear a Shatawale song without guitars in the song, but we will perform the same song on our palm wine rhythm, people don't even realize the fact that it is palm wine music anymore. Like once you are doing something they are familiar with, something they can relate to, they jam. And so then we decided to capitalize on that strategy. That okay, then let's pick popular songs around, not just Ghana, not just Nigeria, not just but around the world. Let's pick popular songs and let us rework them in our palm wine rhythms. Let's just put them on palm wine rhythms and give it to them. And that also really worked. So the advice my boss gave me at the time, it worked perfectly. And it's not just that. He has, there are a lot of things, you know. I could at the time I was in School of Performing Arts, I could skip the dance class and go and watch them at the under the tree there. You know, we're dancing from in the afternoon. We're dancing, and I remember about 2 or 3 times the dance session coincided with the Lebon Pamandan performing under the tree there. So I oh, like 2 or 3 times I skipped the dance class. I went in there, started dancing on, then I'll move out and hey, I'm going to watch them because the sound was beautiful. So yeah, I've talked plenty, but yeah, the basic challenge I see is perception. Apart from what Eric said that oh, the normal challenges that bands face, near my equipment, yeah, those ones challenge they are there. But the main one to me I see is perception. We just need to turn that perception of people that this is nostalgic music, this is music for doing music. No.
You guys are saying really important things, and it's really bringing a lot of things to mind for me. So I have separate questions for you both. I'll start with Eric. And my question to you, as someone who, I mean, some way, somehow, you have links in the academic spaces. And so you study palm wine music, Boga High Life and palm wine music, and then you have the band. Why do you think that the knowledge of palm wine music in, let me say, in contemporary times is not there? Because when I think about other spaces, country music, for example, is a very old style of music. But some way, somehow, there's a 16-year-old American who wants to be a musician and wants to do country music. There's an 18-year-old who is like, I want to be a music star in the world, and it's country music they want to do. And there are young people who are also looking out for the latest country music albums, musicians. They have award shows. But then we come to palm wine music, and it's like, because our music has evolved, it's like as our music evolves, we kind of forget or leave behind the earlier forms. And so I really would like to hear your thoughts on why this is so. Because what I'm hearing from you both is that perception is important. If people know about the music and understand that the appreciation is there, the issues of having to pay people a certain money to perform palm wine music will not be there. The issues of media coverage would also not be there. So I really want to hear from you, Eric. Why do you think that the knowledge and appreciation for palm wine music is not within the contemporary space?
I think it is a social thing, and it is, you can put that within the context of, as a people, we are in a hurry to retire people. So I give you an example. Let's take a Black Stars, and then we use such terms as a veteran player, veteran musician. So we are in a hurry to retire certain things. We are quick. We are in a rush to go nowhere. We are quick to pick things that are not ours and use that as a comparison to what ours is. I remember an encounter on campus with a former colleague and one of my teachers, and for him, what I was doing was bush people's music. So his advice to me was I should stop playing bush people's music and concentrate on Western classical art guitar. And if I do that, he's going to get me a scholarship to Germany. And I found that very interesting. I mean, at that point, you couldn't argue with somebody whose mind is already made up. So, you see, I'm trying to make the question a social question, not necessarily a palm wine question. Mind you, I said that there should be and there is room for all these musical styles, to happen in a soundscape, but it doesn't happen. But I see, I mean, like Yembuye Dieno. yesterday, for instance, I was having a conversation with Mr. Osei Kranji, and it was the same thing we were talking about. He was lamenting how so many different, musical traditions, you know, disappeared. And when I think of it, and I think you would even know, when I was back in Legon, the idea was a pop ensemble, and I was thinking, what is the direction for such an ensemble? Mind you, I had always been a part of this ensemble since 2005 thereabouts, and I have seen it go through different phases. And I thought there was no direction. I thought we thought more of others than us. So I remember proposing it at the faculty meeting, and there was a strong resistance, but my mind was made up, and then it started taking off. So when they were, that transmission started taking place, people started knowing, but this is even there. But we enjoyed it. So the other thing is that transmission rate. For instance, and I speak too much of academia because that is where I have been all my life. There is that problematic concept of a bi-musicality, and a bi-musicality in the sense that they take Western music, and with Western music, Western art music, the baroque, and what have you, and then our indigenous too. Our musical education formally is framed within that concept. Quite recently, Collins was telling me we should make it a musicality, where now he brings in popular music. But then the idea didn't sit well with me, in the sense that I could not fathom how a musical institution, an African musical institution, a Ghanaian musical institution, would be so much interested in Western art music, to the extent of, for instance, teaching composition, within that frame. I read a book some time back, and this was with UCC. So the writer narrates that they had come, a couple of teachers, music educators, had come to the University of Cape Coast music department, and whilst the head of department was taking them around, they had someone play. For those of you who know the World Tempered Clavichord by Bach, it's a World Tempered. World Tempered means it should be tuned, and this guy was playing it on a distuned, piano, and he pointed that out, and then the man was like, "Oh, that is our best pianist, piano student." And I mean, you could get the irony. And then he went further to inquire about our music, the music that is our own, and how that fits into the curriculum. And you say, "Oh, the cleaners, after their day's work, after 2 o'clock, they would, when they have free time, they would teach some of them the traditional dances." So it speaks volume to how, even within that transmission mode, we have paid attention to some of these things. Then how we look down on them. So the people down there, when I say people down there, probably not a good word, but the indigenous musicians, they see they are being looked down upon. So they also don't do anything about it. But I think the problem has been, that formal, informal kind of music training, and how it is disjointed. People think of music and music education, for instance, and they are like, "Oh, be a choir master." I've had that experience. So again, it comes down to the perception thing. What I believe we could do, for instance, is revolutionize some of these things. Don't pay attention to what some of these people say, because for whatever you do, they won't listen to you. Palm wine today, after seeing all these things, wouldn't have been possible if it was not for some stubborn attitude some of us had. So it starts with one person, but then it will mean that we all pull in and support each other. I remember when we were mooting the idea for the festival, for instance, we were thinking of how to make it relevant to the young people.
Yeah.
And then the suggestion came that why don't we add spoken word to it? Because we had been working with Nsadwase and we seem to gel very well. I think even the Pampa had worked with Nsadwase, and you see the synergy that it creates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, even last 2 weeks we did something.
Exactly. So that collaboration with Nsadwase, so we brought a lot of, initially started as Legon Palm Wine Band and our friends. And I remember that was the first big platform for Pampa. I still have those videos,
Very
but
true, 100%.
that collaboration, you see, that collaboration seemed to have started something that we all participate in today. So it's steeped in perception, but also we should find a way of, disintegrating that old notion of knowledge transmission. For instance, I don't see why for someone who wants to be a performer, a music performer, cannot study with Konimo for 4 years and then be awarded a degree in the university. I don't see why we should confine ourselves to that walls, of the university. When the performance, pedagogy we are doing is for the community, why don't we make these students perform? For instance, at Zen Gardens, we have final year students perform. They have a feel of the crowd reaction. Where I was trained at the University of KwaZulu Natal, there is a jazz center. They have a jazz program. There is always a performance on Wednesday evening. The setting is there, a jazz club. So the student experience, the students meet people in the industry, the students play for that, kind of, exposure. But we don't
It's a commercial area. Jazz center, commercial area.
Commercial area.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
No, I am asking. You said there was a jazz center.
Yes. It's part of the school. It's part of the discipline. So there are different, sections, and there's a jazz center for jazz and then popular music. They have an auditorium, not an auditorium, like a club. So there is a bar, there is a stage, there are tables, just like what will happen in the outside the university world. So that kind of experiential training is also not there. I've spoken so much about formal education, but my passion really is in the informal, because it is in the informal that people like us, researchers like us, are able to come up with theories and what have you. So, it's a whole mirage. It's difficult. But then I strongly believe that if we are able to overcome that perception idea, which Kwampa is doing so well, on a Tuesday evening, it's no place to go than the Zen Gardens, and you are going to have a good time listening to palm wine music, listening to revitalized palm wine, and it's a pleasure to watch them, perform.
Thank you.
I know I've deviated a little bit, but
no. I think you've really said a lot, and I mean, some of the key things that I'm taking away from what you said is that there are challenges that will be faced in every industry, every place that you find yourself. But then, with challenges and difficulties come solutions. So rather than us always having to complain and lament, what can we as individuals do as agents to make things easier for the next generation? So in your example of the jazz club that is in the school that we're trained in, they are given a space for students to see the possibilities that lie ahead, and that kind of inspires them. So when they get out there, they already know their target audience. They already know that there's an audience that is going to receive them when they perform. They are not in doubt. And I think that's one of the problems that we have here is where, because I did music, so I understand, I mean, from where you're coming from at the University of Ghana, where there isn't so much of an agency where students are able to see what's happening in the real world to identify the possibilities that exist. So we really do need to. Difficulties and challenges are important because then they open possibilities, and they open our minds to what can be done. But then rather than us complaining all the time and lamenting, we really do need to act as agents, and that's what you have done with the Legon Palm Wine Band, and that's how can we have Pampa. So we would go into our next conversation about, the importance of collaboration. But before we do that, I said I had a question for Kwampa. If you have questions as an audience, please feel free to leave them in the comment section and we will take them. We are having a conversation with the Legon Palm Wine Band in Kwampa on reviving palm wine music, and they are talking about their experiences and collaboration as an importance to the whole, palm wine industry and music industry at large. So my question to you, Asa of Kwampa, is, I'm thinking about the fact that you're a 4-member band, and then Legon Palm Wine is 5-member band, and you have all these instruments that you carry around. So I'm thinking about it in how our business people think today. Those who call out the musicians to come and perform, they just have one person come on stage. Sometimes they don't even need a band. They all just have to play their music in the background and they are mimicking, and then they go and then they get paid for that. So I want to hear your thoughts on how, someone who is looking up to you and wants to enter this, this palm wine music industry commercially, knowing that money is important, and then that it's important for us all to survive, whether we like it or not. But how do we balance, having the passion and seeing a vision for the future, and knowing that you taking, 300 cities today doesn't mean that you will take 300 cities for the rest of your career, but there are sacrifices to be made, and while you have to feed yourself, how do you create that balance, knowing that there's a band and then you have to be paid more because each individual has to get something worth their time? All these things could scare a young person who wants to enter the industry. So please tell us how to balance, the passion and then the need for the income and then the vision.
Okay, so I was with Roberman Productions from 2016, actively between 2016 and 2018. Later on, because of other things, I had to but I was with them. And one thing Uncle Ebu says is that if you're offered a job, and your first question is how much are you going to pay me, you are starting on the wrong note. Or if you find anything to do and your first question is how much it's involved, you are starting on the wrong note. Rather, he says you should think about your personal contribution to making that thing you are into better. He always says that, let me use this washroom example. A lot of people will go to the washroom, they will ease themselves, and then they will come back. They don't really care whether they left it tidier or not. They just do their thing and they leave. If they want to wee, they leave everything and they go. A lot of people will say, or you sometimes find a poster on the thing, leave the washroom as you met it, or kindly keep the washroom clean as you met it. And people will say or will put something there that says, leave the washroom better than you met it. And that thing always, there's a poster on the washroom when you're going to leave the washroom better than you met it. And it stuck with me. Whatever you are doing, whatever you want to do, go in there, do it, and leave it better than you met it. So even if you want to, I worked as a human resource manager somewhere, but I had to leave and focus on this because that is what I really wanted to do. When I was the human resource manager, there was no way I was leaving that place better than I met it. No, it won't even work because I was doing it just for the money. But I'm just saying that if you are a young person, you want to come into palm wine music, you want to do it, yes, fine, the money is important, but think about your contribution to the whole genre, the whole style, the whole industry, better than the returns you are getting. We started with 300 CDs, and that was only one performance the whole week for the band. Now we do Tuesdays in Garden, Wednesdays, Port Belly, we do weekends, Royals, like other places. Now we have a lot of performances. We're doing
You mean you have a lot of money?
No. Oh, forgive me. Oh, wood impression. Forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me. I beg you. Forgive me. Wood impression. So I'm just saying that when it is good, come with me. I wish a lot of people will form other palm wine bands, because trust me, there are lots of days we have 2 3 gigs. They say they want palm wine band, but how many bands are available? We can only honor one invite. The others we can't. But if there were 4 5 bands, I could easily say, oh Charlie, we have a gig here, I'm not available, but this band is available. Let them go. This band is available. Now it's only the two. Kwampa and Legon Palm Wine Band. So I mean, if it's not, then nothing at all. So I wish we had more. So I'm just
as
saying,
I
I'm
not to
not.
cut you, as I not to cut you, but speaking of collaboration, we are always passing gates to each other. Charlie, we can't go for us. Charlie, we can't go. So that collaborative, just to keep that, idea of palm wine music also going. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yes. It's true, and it works perfectly. So I'm just saying that let more people come in, not just for the money. The money will come. As I told you, it was 300 CDs. Now it's way above 300 CDs. Way above.
And that is a week, oh, that is a week. Way above.
No, and you see, we have other places also where we perform. So a lot of people to come, but this is what you just come in. Don't look at the money. Work your ass out. Make sure you leave it better than you met it in whatever corner you are working in. Yeah.
Thank you for those words. For me, it's really important that young people see ahead, the impact that they can make for the next generation and then for the future. Unfortunately, we live in difficult times, but then which time has never been difficult? As young people, the economy will always be against you, not just in Ghana, in everywhere that you find yourself. And so I'm happy that you speak of passion and a vision, and not just thinking about the money today, but then what the industry you are building. Eric, please come in.
Yes, Madam Moderator, sorry. I
No
just thought wood impression Ghana, and I'm thinking they would be into the wood industry. So I just wanted to throw them a challenge. Wood impression Ghana. We want you to design a print for us. We want you to design a gourmet for us. So yes, the example was bad at that time. I probably think my request to you to might be a good one at a good time. Sorry, Madam Moderator.
Oh no problem at all. I mean, this is the conversation for you. So wood impressions. He's an artist and he uses wood to make his art. So I think this is a really good challenge for him.
Oh, okay,
I think he
okay.
could be able to do that because he carves from wood. So
Okay.
we'll see. This
So
is a
the
challenge
challenge is for you.
Yeah. Thank you. So we've spent an hour talking a lot about your experiences and your journey. And in this conversation, you have mentioned, the collaboration aspect. And so I'd now like us to go deeper into this idea of collaboration. We live in a time where people feel that they're in competition with each other. And so once someone is the the younger person or the new person coming up is only thinking about how they can outdo, the bigger the older or more experienced group and steal all their gigs. And just to put it in a more simpler context, it's not a problem to me for people who are starting off to want to be better than those who have paved the way. But I find it challenging when the only concern is I'm in competition with this person and so I can't do this, I can't do that. So I want to hear if you both have ever had issues of being in competition with each other. Of course, you are the leading members of the band. You encourage your people, but maybe within the bands, do you ever feel that um, each member feels in competition with another member or even between the bands? And what are your thoughts on collaboration in general? So I'd like to start with Eric and then we'll move to Asa.
Yeah, this question is going to bring us a move. Kwaku from all the so of course competition is healthy. I remember there's intra competition and then there's I remember when Kwampa moved to the next stage. I was not here myself, and the competition, the kind of comments you would hear from the outside. Hey, Kwampa for no they do anything. We know they see. So it comes from the outside. It fits into some of the members,
Yeah.
and then the kind of conversation they would have is, Charlie, they are taking our job. And then I would also ask them, I mean, how many gigs are you going to be able to play in a day? So it is not about being in competition, but it is about collaborating. And then today the understanding is there. So challenge to me, the first thing that comes to mind, the Emperor Pampa. Hey, Mr. Asa, Charlie, what's up? Even at the last hour, if they can, they can. If they can't, then we go back to the people and tell them, look, we are unavailable. The other group is also unavailable. And it's the same thing, Just recently, we got a gig from Kwampa, so that is there. So that idea of collaboration. But of course, what they do is different from what we do. Our target audience is also different from their target audience. So, it's that collaborative energy, although not directly there, we feel it. And we have been thinking of doing a song together. I mean, even the festival in itself speaks volume to that notion of collaboration.
Collaboration, yeah.
We're thinking about it. I mean, you would know that at a point we thought it was not going to happen. Then the idea comes, why not talk to Mr. Asa and then see the possibility? And then, Mr. Asa never says no. The spirit of Pampa, so then we fashioned everything up and then, so the point is when we do these things together, and again, Kwampa is an extension of Legon Palm Wine Band, and Legon Palm Wine Band is an extension of Kwampa, which we will demonstrate this evening at Zen Garden. So putting our collective efforts together is what has brought us here today. Kwampa is always winning awards, and it is always on my timeline, and it is always on all of the members' timeline. We celebrate each other, because if we don't do these things, we don't get far. The other thing, and like I highlighted, was working with Nsadwase and taking that mileage. Because for many people, and I'm sure Mr. Asa would have experienced that before, when you get to the event, we do a lot of corporate gigs and these conferences. When we get there and they look at us and our instrument, particularly when I am wearing t-shirts, like no mobile baby. And then when we start playing, then you see everybody turn their eyes. The next thing is, oh, give us your contact, so so that leverage that Nsadwase gave us, continue to give us, has also pushed us to a certain state. There are certain places he goes. I remember back in 2016, we could play 4 continuous, performances in a week. Some of them only 3 minutes. Some of them we change in the car before we get on stage. And then these my colleagues were going places on a very good day they would never have gone to, because of our collaboration with Asa. It comes back to the idea of money. So initially, I would tell him, look, we don't want any money. Any amount you give us, but because we were after something. But not everybody, Mr. Asa will tell you, in the band management, they are the same thing. But later on, they get to understand. So, I think working with him brought us to a certain stage, and then we also took off from that stage. So, collaboration is key, has been key, and will be key to whether palm wine music goes on to the next level, to whether we are going to get more people into palm wine music. And trust me, we are going to get more people, because now I've come home, now I'm home. Now there is, always, more possibilities. And that collaborative effort, the collaborative effort is what brings that palm wine festival alive.
Yeah.
I know I'm blabbing, but I think of the collaborations and the kind of collaborations we've had with so many different persons, and where it has brought us from when we started, and the kind of attention it has brought to palm wine music. I should say here that if it hadn't been for Kwampa's, I remember that first interview that was not a hit, but the song eventually makes a hit in the second year. We wouldn't have been where we are. You understand? So, the collaboration plays a key role in sending or propagating the message of the kind of music we have, that rich heritage that we have.
Thank you so much. And Asa, do you have anything to add?
Collaboration is the best. For me, it is the best. And you see, collaboration, I am sure, is that thing which is going to propel palm wine music to the next level. In my opinion, collaboration will give us what we are looking for, especially now that we think we are a smaller force to reckon with, or as you chipped in, minority. So it is the best. For instance, Legon Palm Wine Band, they gave me a clear picture of how I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I had the idea, but they gave me a clear picture, visuals of what, I mean, when they will start their performances and you look at them, you watch their performances and you're like, yeah, this is it, But we are all palm wine fans, but we do different palm wine music. For instance, let's take the ensemble. At the time we were starting, we did not have any preprint one, and we made an order and it never came. So, but we still said, okay, then let's oh yes, we made an order and it never came. um, we said let's replace it with something we can, and we had a gourmet. Say, "Wait, Charlie, young for gourmet, let's see how it works." And then we played with the gourmet. Even at the time when we had access to prints, well, we still maintained, "Oh, let's keep the gourmet," and we never went to the prints. Well, Legon Palm Wine Band, to take care of their low frequencies, they are doing the prints well, which is very good. And then you look at the addition in terms of the radio phones they are using. For instance, we use the twin bell and then the shakery. They also use the feature a lot of the times. And I don't think they use the bell, the delta as much as they use the feature. But you see, so these additions and subtractions, they give the bands the various different colors and in terms of our sonic, our sounds and all that. But we're all doing palm wine music. So I wish there will be other palm wine music, other palm wine bands, and they will also do something. And these different styles within the palm wine music, they will give us a kind of advantage over the others. Now the collaboration, if we collaborate more, it will give us an upper hand over the others, because they are doing a lot of out there, Charlie, we don't call it, or we push you, now we go push you. But you see, in my opinion, like the collaboration will send us there. Just as Erico is saying, there are like some challenges from other people, but I know for me the collaboration challenge, like what is happening tonight. Just as he said, the Nsadwase festival, the one that happened on campus at the Drum Village, it was a huge platform for Kwampas, huge. I still have the picture. At the time we were five. There were five of us that performed, the starting five, and later on one had to leave and then remained four. And I still have the photos. It was huge for us. It was a big platform, and that was when you realize that people were like, they appreciated what you were doing. You had the students there, you had the audience there, and they were showing appreciation, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So Legon Palm Wine Man, they have always been, as I said earlier, without the Legon Palm Wine Man, there will never be Kwampa. Sometimes you oh no, they are saying, hey, Charlie, go for me to you. They are doing what they are doing. Then they will send the picture, and then I see the picture, and then it's Legon Palm Wine Man. I'm like, shit, you don't know what you are saying.
Exactly.
You don't know what you are saying.
Like people talk to me and they're like, "Oh, do you know Kwampa?" I'm like, "Yeah, we are in the same band. It's just that they use different instruments." They say, "Oh yeah," and then we'll tell them, "Oh yeah," and I'll tell them all the guys, and I'll tell them what they do and how they do and when they do. They're like, "Oh really? I didn't know." I'm like, "Yeah." you know.
So I think people are expecting more competition from us. Not competition, more rivalry from us, from where they sit. But for us in here, we know that it is not a matter of rivalry, but a healthy competition. Because the competition, as you said earlier, it is good, but it depends on how you look at it. It will make our arts sharper. It will make our performances better. Because if you realize that the other guys are really doing something, also now, like, it gives you the edge to do more. And so that competition in that sense is very good. Adaha, we've been in a number of nominations with Adaha Band, and it's always not like a rivalry kind of.
No.
It is a similar agenda. So if this guy is going, trust me, if Legon Palm Wine Band, they have some connection somewhere and they can push some band, they will call Kwampa.
Yeah.
And so if we also have some serious connection somewhere and the Legon Palm Wine Band is there, why wouldn't I call them? I'll call them because we're on the same foot together. If palm wine music is thriving more than it is now, we are all benefiting. And other people will even now come in and do more. So the competition is good in terms of our performances, our acts on stage, but it is never rivalry. No. It is so those out there who are you've been sending us, at least some people are doing what you are doing. No, please. They started before us, and without them, without the Legon Palm Wine Band, there will be no Kwampa. In all honesty, there will be no Kwampa.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Asa will be playing for Legon the Palm Wine.
Yeah, yeah. The true. But okay, you been yeah, no. Yeah, yeah, quick brown couple.
Exactly.
What is the fan of
Yeah, I
junction?
will sit down. Yeah.
I played with them, and you know, because our style is different, Charlie, I was suffering on the guitar. Sometimes they'll be doing that. I'll be slowing down the tempo. Then I'll pick up and all that. Because though we're all doing palm wine music, our styles are slightly different. But Erico, I'm wishing we could do something with Adadema Bufuma, Jaco and Adadema Bufuma, in terms of a record on a record, not just like a performance.
Yeah.
But yes, it is.
Let's talk about it on the outside. Let's talk about it.
Well, we the fans will be looking forward to that. Seeing, in the next edition of the festival, seeing Ejako Nimo come, or actually taking it to Kumasi and having the festival there and performing with him before performing as individual acts.
Somebody actually sent me and not just somebody, about 3 people. They were asking if the festival is coming to Kumasi. And then I told them that, we are still planning. We'll look at a few things and see how it works. So I think the Kumasi will work. A lot of people have started asking whether we will bring it to Kumasi eventually. Yes, so I think we should consider that.
Awesome. I have just one last question and then we can wrap up. But before I ask the question, I just want to add on to the topic of collaboration. And for me, I'm really big on collaboration, not just within a particular industry, but how other industries can support. Because the thing is that we are trying to get people interested in something new. And there are people who may not know that they appreciate palm wine music, but having Nsadwase, you draw his people in, and then they get to enjoy and experience palm wine music, and then before you know it, they are fans. So I'm always thinking about how we can add on different elements of creative arts to support each other, and that's where collaboration comes in. So when Eric was given Mood Impressions the challenge, I was just thinking that, oh wow, in the presence of palm wine music, there's palm wine. In the presence of palm wine, there's the calabash. So, Wood Impressions is not too far off from the idea of the palm wine experience. Why not?
I like how you're thinking.
Yeah, he comes and then he's doing his art carving while there's a performance, because the calabash is made up of his main medium of art. So we need to find ways of adding elements of different art forms to support each other. And once we do that, we just create more avenue, we create more resources, we create more opportunities. So my last question before we wrap up is, what is the Nsadwase Music Festival, and what can people expect tonight and in the near future? So I'd like to start with Asad this time, and then we'll wrap up with Eric.
Okay, so the whole idea of Nsadwase Festival started from Legon Palm Wine Band, and I'm sure it started from Eric, because they had the idea and all that. But in my opinion, it's an excellent idea. And so tonight at the Zen Garden, Legon Palm Wine Band and Kwampa, we are going to express ourselves as we do best in palm wine music. So if you're watching us, please make your way tonight to the Zen Garden. It's going to be fun. Palm wine music presents itself in different ways. You have the storytelling and the music and the mobile part of the whole thing. Okay, and not just listen to stories. and all that. So it will be fun. I mean, super exciting. Waiting for the Gone Palm Wine Man to join us, and then we treat our audience to something great. So they should watch out. I'm sure year by year, year in year out, it will be bigger. It will be bigger
Yeah,
than we are seeing it now. It will
definitely.
be bigger, bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Eric, can you tell us more about the festival since it's, I mean, mainly from your staple?
So the festival is one of the, you know, as a result of one of the ideas to bring that kind of publicity to palm wine music. It started off with a monthly performance circle where, you know, it's not organized. We meet, we drink palm wine, we make music, we make new music, we express ourselves, we talk about our issues there and there. You know, sometimes it takes some of the, you know, problems off. But month, so after every month, the idea was, can't we have an annual bigger event where it's a bit semi-formal, but then we invite others to celebrate palm wine music, not only to celebrate palm wine music, but also, you know, to draw people in to listen to palm wine music. For many, palm wine music is more a listening kind of music, but you know, doing slow move to it until Kwampa introduced the Jama palm wine, where you find people sweating, you
Yeah.
know, and it's all good. So tonight, palm wine music is going to be celebrated. We call it the Nsadwase Music Festival. We are, in fact, we are being hosted by Kwampa because it's their space. But then we are also bringing a couple of individual musicians, you know. And the other thing we haven't really, we have only been talking about palm wine music within the context of a band. But
Bands, exactly.
musicians, solo musicians who are also contributing to palm wine music. You can talk of Kwamensa, you can talk of the Kumasi Trio and all those guys. So this evening we are bringing new music. We are bringing
Humankind,
Yellowstone. It's going to be poetry. It's going to be spoken word. It's going to be separate, just to celebrate palm wine music at least. Hopefully it goes well, and then next year will be much bigger than this year.
Awesome. So I want to congratulate you both on the journey so far. And as someone who follows closely, I'm really excited about the possibilities that lie ahead. And I know that tonight would be an initiation into bigger things. This conversation has been so amazing. I really enjoyed it. And from the feedback we are getting, people have also enjoyed this conversation. I think it's something that we should be doing very often. We were not able to touch on the importance of archiving, you know, as we are working on reviving and getting more people to enjoy palm wine music. So maybe in our next discussion, maybe in the next festival, we should touch on, you know, the importance of archiving and how you guys are archiving your process as you are, you know, given to the world. And so I want to say thank you so much.
My boss is doing it best. My boss is doing it best.
maybe you should bring us on your other festival.
Yeah, I mean, that's an idea that is in the works. So
okay,
you're talking about Peja. Yeah. It was actually a plan. I'm going to say it here that it was a plan to do that, but then the issue was finances. I personally don't like to bring on people without having to give them something, no matter how small. And we were really tied down with finances this year. So definitely next year we will be having. We had Eja Konimo in 2018 when his book came out. So he came to read from the book and then ended it with some amazing performance. And it's one of the most talked about events in the literary festival. So it goes back to my point of adding other elements of you know, creative arts within your specialized area. So definitely you both will be featuring in Peja in the near future. But until then, I really want to wish you
in the future.
yes, Peja in the future. Yes.
Eja on Peja in the future with Kwampa.
Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you to
Welcome.
everyone who joined us. I'm wishing
And
you all
see
the
you in
best
the
this evening.
evening.
Yes, see you tonight at Zen Gardens. Please, what's the location and is there an entry fee? Please let us know so that we can prepare.
So Zen Gardens is located in Laboni. Mr.
Okay.
Asa Mr. Asa would have been a good person to describe, but it's located at Laboni of the South African High Commission. You know, they are on the same lane.
Okay.
It's not a paid event. It's free of charge. There will be palm wine, you know, on the house, you know, between a certain period. So I don't know the period yet. So you have to be there to enjoy palm wine. You
What
have
time does it start?
the show starts at 7 p.m. Probably
Okay.
the palm wine is going to go between 7 and 8. So if you don't come before that,
Earlier the
I'm sorry, you're going to have to buy your your palm wine. But it promises to be an interesting one.
it
Zen
does.
Gardens Laboni is the place to be this evening.
Thank you, Papa Sun, for your time, and thank you also to Asa for your time. He unfortunately dropped off, but we've come to the end, so there's no worry in that. And thank you for continuing to be an inspiration to my work as well. I just wanted to put that in. I remember when I was in level 400, you were practically on my neck to write a long essay, and that has helped me to where I am today. So thank you for that. And I'll see you
Oh,
this evening. And
sure.
I hope that everyone who joined us for this conversation will join us at the Zen Garden tonight for, an experience of palm wine music at its greatest with the Legon Palm Wine Band. And so
Thank you
until
for
we meet
hosting
again,
us.
you're
Thank
most
you.
welcome. I
You know,
really
this
enjoyed it.
conversation was, you know, an entirely your idea. So thank you.
You're
And
most welcome.
see you in the evening.
Yeah. Okay. So bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.